Skills can make your AI agent dramatically more capable, or completely break it. The difference comes down to one file and a few design rules you probably haven't read yet. Before Skills existed, the usual approach was to dump everything into the system prompt or a giant Claude.md file. Look at what that costs. The instructions actually relevant to any one task are a sliver. Everything else is workflows for situations you are not in right now, and the model reads all of it on every single request. You pay for the toolbar every time, and the model gets worse at the task in front of it. A skill is a folder. Here is the whole thing. Inside your project there's a .claude directory, and inside that, a skills folder. Each subfolder is one skill, this one is called deploy, and that folder name becomes the / command. Inside it, SKILL.md is the only required file or a YAML header plus instructions. Everything else is optional, a shell script the agent can run, a reference document it loads only if the instructions point to it. Here's the file itself. The name field is the /command handle, /deploy loads this skill by hand. The description field is the routing rule, and we'll come back to why that one matters most. The second triple dash closes the header, and everything below it is the body, freeform markdown the agent follows once the skill fires. Steps, checks, commands, whatever the job actually needs. So here's the routing decision, drawn out. A request arrives. The agent compares it against every skill description it loaded at startup. If one matches, it loads that SKILL.md body and runs the instructions inside. If nothing matches, it just answers normally and waits for the next request. That's the whole mechanism, which means your description isn't documentation. It's the condition on that diamond. Write it the way a real request would arrive, in the words a user would actually type. This is why skills stay cheap. There are 3 tiers. At session start, the agent loads only each skill's name and description, around 50 tokens apiece. That's the only part that's always resident. The body of the SKILL.md file stays on disk until a description matches, then it loads, and that's where the real weight is. And anything the body references, a script, a reference doc, only loads if the instructions actually reach for it. You pay for specificity, not coverage. Skills can fire in 2 ways. Automatic invocation is where the agent detects that your request matches a skill's description and loads it on its own. You don't do anything special. That's the default for well-written skills. Manual invocation is where you type a /command, which forces that skill to load regardless of what the description says. Follow both lanes and they arrive at the same place. The body executes identically. The only difference is who decided to load it. So what goes inside? Open the deploy folder again. SKILL.md carries the instructions, the workflow, the checklist, the decision tree. But look at what sits beside it. Preflight.sha is a script the agent can actually run, not just read about. A templates folder holds starter files and output formats, and examples gives it worked samples to anchor on. Rollback.md only loads if the instructions point at it. Instructions tell the agent what to do, the rest of the folder hands it the tools. The SKILL.md format isn't Claude specific. Anthropic built it on top of the Agent Skills open standard at agentskills.io. That means a skill you write for Claude Code can work in Cursor, Gemini CLI, Codex CLI, and other tools that implement the same standard. You write the skill once and it travels with your team, not with the tool. This also means community-contributed skills you find online are likely to work as is. The biggest practical win is context efficiency. Say you have 10 specialized workflows. Put them all in the system prompt and every request carries all 10, whether you need them or not. Move them into skills and a request carries the 10 short descriptions plus the one body that actually fired. Same capability, a fraction of the tokens. On high-volume workloads that difference compounds fast, and it gets better the more specialized workflows you add, not worse. Skills also keep your context files lean. The best use of Claude.md is facts and standing constraints, things that are always true, project structure, conventions, which tools are blocked. Procedures don't belong there. On the left, 3 runbooks nobody needs most of the time, read in full on every request. On the right, the same 3 moved out into skills. The context file drops to the things that are always relevant, and each procedure loads only when it fires. Skills are reusable. Once you write a code review skill, every session on every project in that directory gets access to it. Package it into a plugin and your whole team shares it. The agent skills standard means that same skill can travel across tools. Compare this to the alternative, documentation buried in a wiki that people forget to read, or instructions copy-pasted into chat every time someone needs them. A skill makes the institutional knowledge executable, not just readable. Skills can bundle the actual tools they need. If a code review skill needs a specific linter config, or a deploy skill needs a shell script, those files live in the skills folder. The agent doesn't have to hunt for them or make assumptions about where they are. This is particularly powerful for tasks where getting the tooling right matters as much as getting the instructions right, compliance workflows, security checks, anything where a missed step has real consequences. To recap the advantages. Progressive loading means unused skills are free. Clean context files mean better model focus. Reuse and sharing mean your team's knowledge is executable. And bundled execution means the agent has the right tools, not just the right instructions. Together these make skills genuinely better than prompt stuffing for anything that happens more than once. Now the downsides, and they're real. First, the description budget. That listing of every skill's name and description has a hard cap, commonly reported at about 1% of the context window, though treat the exact figure as approximate. Watch what happens as you install more. The bar fills, and when it overflows, Claude code doesn't warn you. It silently drops descriptions, starting with the ones you've invoked least. A brand new skill has 0 invocation history, so it goes mute first. You install it, it never fires, and nothing tells you why. Second, skills load at session start, and only at session start. Follow the loop. A session opens, the agent reads every description once, and that snapshot is what it uses for the rest of the session. So when you add or edit a skill halfway through, the agent simply cannot see it. There's no reload. The only way out is the arrow along the bottom, open a new session. This is the single most common reason a freshly written skill seems broken. The skill is fine. The session is stale. Third, more skills is not better. Work on tool-augmented language models points consistently in one direction, past the number a task actually needs. Adding options makes the model worse, not better. It has to choose from a bigger set, which raises the chance it picks wrong or hedges when it should be decisive. The curve has a peak and you can sit past it without noticing. 10 sharp, specific skills will beat 50 vague ones. Fourth, the mega skill. This is one skill trying to handle 5 different jobs: review, debug, refactor, test, and document. Its description has to cover all of them, so it matches every one of them weakly. Look at the match strength. Nothing is a confident hit, so the agent is guessing on every request. Split it into 5 and each description matches its own job strongly and the others not at all. One skill, one job. To summarize the cons. The description budget silently drops new or unused skills. Session start loading makes mid-session changes invisible. Too many skills degrades performance across all tasks. And mega skills match everything weakly and execute nothing well. All 4 of these are fixable. Knowing they exist is the first step. Now debugging. Start with the built-in diagnostics. /doctor runs a health check on your skill configuration, and this is the part that matters. It tells you what the session actually sees at startup. Here, 18 skills are installed but only 14 loaded. The 4 at the bottom were dropped for budget, exactly the failure from a moment ago, except now it's visible. Pair it with the ~debug flag to trace what the agent matched and why. The most common failure is the description itself, and putting a bad one next to a good one makes it obvious. On the left, manages deployment workflows and handles release process automation. Every word there is a noun no human types. It matches nothing. On the right, use when the user says deploy, ship, or push to production, then literal trigger phrases in quotes. Same skill, same body. One never fires and one fires reliably. The difference is writing the words a real request would contain. A stray colon breaks the whole skill, silently. On the left, the description value contains a colon and isn't quoted, and the continuation line is indented with a tab. YAML rejects both. The skill installs, the file sits right there on disk, and the agent never sees a description for it. On the right, same content, the value wrapped in double quotes and the continuation indented with spaces. When a skill exists but never appears in the listing, check the front matter before you touch anything else. Here's overlap. One request, check this code before it goes out. Underneath it, two skills whose descriptions both lay claim to it, review matches check and code, deploy matches check and goes out. The agent has to pick one, and it picks silently. You get no error, no warning, no note that it was a close call. You just get one of them executing with full confidence. Read your description side by side and ask whether any single request could land in two of them. Overlap is the most dangerous failure mode because of what is missing from this diagram. Follow the top row, an ambiguous request comes in, the agent picks a skill, it runs the entire workflow, and the wrong output turns up downstream. Now look at the grayed box. There is no branch where the agent stops and says I might be the wrong skill for this. No warning, no fallback, no error. That path does not exist, which is why the failure only surfaces later. Auditing is a loop, not a one-off. Step 1. Read every description together and flag any two that could match the same request. Step 2. Scan your context files for procedures long enough to extract. Step 3. Check invocation history and drop anything with no recent use. Step 4. Run/doctor and confirm the budget isn't quietly dropping skills. Then the arrow comes back round to step 1, because every skill you add changes the answer to step 1 for all the others. And finally, the design rules. One skill, one job. If you can't describe what the skill does in a single sentence without and, split it. Write descriptions in the language of real requests, actual words a user would type, not abstract capability descriptions. Make sure no two skills share trigger words that could match the same task. Keep the body focused. If it's growing past 200 or 300 lines, it's probably trying to do too much. And whenever you find yourself pasting the same instructions into chat, that's the signal to write a skill. Skills are one of the highest leverage things you can do with an AI agent setup. Get the description right, keep each one focused on a single job, audit for overlap, and your agent gets meaningfully better over time. Get it wrong and you end up with a system that fires the wrong skill confidently and gives you no signal that something went wrong. The good news, every failure mode we covered is diagnosable and fixable. Now you know what to look for. If clear, sensible thinking is what you are after, subscribing is the most direct way to get the next one. See you in the next video.